order. Mr. Walters is going to pray, and Mr. Hammond will lead us in the pledge.
Let's pray. Our dear Heavenly Father, God, we just thank you for everything. We ask for nothing tonight because you provide everything. You know our needs before we know them. And God, we just thank you for being that God that is sovereign and knows everything that we need, steps ahead of us. God, we just thank you so much for our students, our teachers, and all faculty and staff. And God, we just thank you for the opportunity to serve them and serve our communities, our citizens, God. We just ask for many, many more opportunities. Give us your knowledge and your wisdom tonight to think things out, discuss things, and vote on things the way that you lead us. In Christ's name we pray, amen.
Please join in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I did not see anybody signed up for public comment, so we will go ahead and start with the CTE students.
Great. Ms. Calder will come up and lead the way for us.
Good evening. We've invited some of our CTE teachers and their students to come tonight and share with you what they've done this school year and all their accomplishments. So first we're going to hear from David Crockett, Health Science Program. Then you'll hear from David Crockett, Digital Arts Program. And then Daniel Boone, Health Science Program. So, you're up.
Good evening.
Hi.
I'm Sherry Wolf, and I work at David Crockett High School, and I have the pleasure and the honor to teach the nursing education program. I have students that during the summer agreed, a little reluctantly, but not much, to join me today to share about their accomplishments, and I could not be more proud. So with that, I'm going to allow them to present to you the information that we have on the PowerPoint.
Great.
Good evening. I'm Kitty Jo Cox. I graduated in 2023, and all of us are proud graduates of Ms. Sherry Wolf's CNA program. This has provided an excellent opportunity for us. All of us can attest to its success in just our careers, and of course providing great care, great compassionate care to our community. Entry to this program is competitive and requires successful completion of health science, medical therapeutics, and anatomy courses. Applicants must submit an application, essay, and resume by the deadline along with recommendations from 3 teachers. Qualified candidates then participate in an interview conducted by a panel that includes our health science facility, a member of administration, and senior CNA students. This process helps ensure that students who are dedicated and prepared are selected.
So a big part about the program is we have to do certain skills, and they have to be obviously in the exact order, and it's a lot of memorizing, but we need those skills every day at the nursing home because that's how we provide adequate care to our residents. And when you do these skills, you don't just perform them, you actually get emotionally attached to these residents. You're taking care of these people at the end of their life, and it's truly an honor to get to know these people and get to hear their stories and a lot about them. And Ms. Wolf helped me find my calling to be a CNA. If you would have asked me freshman year, I would have never told you I would have done this class. But now I'm actually in the military and I'm pursuing nursing. So I'm very thankful for Ms. Wolf for this program.
This class had required a lot of hands-on activity and open labs. Our open labs, we would come in early mornings because that's what worked best for our class. Learning the classroom lab provided us with essential hands-on practice of the skills required for patient care. Open lab sessions were offered on weekends, early mornings, and holidays to give us additional opportunities to practice and memorize our skills.
Practicing patient bathing on one another while dressed comfortably in shorts and t-shirts helped us understand the importance of maintaining patient comfort and privacy, such as ensuring water temperature is warm enough. This shared experience of vulnerability helped us remember how it might feel to be a patient and provide the best possible care for our patients. Feeding was a different scenario. We had various foods we got to try. We used baby foods. We had the worst kinds and we had good kinds, because the elderly, they don't always get a choice in what they eat, and it might not be the best, so it was good to see that. And then we had our March Madness in Agonizing April, which were when we would come in and practice our 35-minute skills exam fully, thoroughly. Wolfie would give us more than what we got. And we would, we come in early and we all would come in for each other and help. And this helped us prepare and get 100% passing rate in our class.
And then in April, we had something called CNA Saturday, which started in 2023 with our CNAs to help us prepare for our test in mid-April. This allowed us to ask questions of past CNAs and ask later on in candidates, help them figure out if they want to do the program or not, and let them ask us questions if they needed to.
Hi, my name is Jackson. I'm with the class of 2025. I'm here to talk to you about collaboration. So we collaborated with ETSU students in sports medicine, and we also collaborated with our school athletic trainer, Doc, and we did physicals for all the athletes at Crockett. Pretty much it.
So students will take the certification exam on Saturday in April from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. The exam comprises a 100-question test along with 4 random skill assessments that must be completed within 35 minutes. Whenever we're taking the test, the expectations are very high and our nerves are absolutely going crazy. So Wolf sets up an entire lab for us filled with snacks, candy, drinks, anything you can imagine. She puts a bed set up with blankets, she has us bring stuffed animals and pillows, and she tries to make us the most comfortable we possibly can on one of the most important test days of our career.
My name is Sydney Shelton. I was in Miss Wolf's CNA class last year, and I would like to share our pass rate that we've had over the past 3 years. We've had a 100% pass rate. While even if we did not all have a 100% pass, we would pass the CNA class and course before we would graduate. We also are very proud to say that we have not had to do any retests for the past 3 years, because Ms. Wolf makes sure that we are ultimately prepared to take that test and with the expectation to pass. So it's not that failure isn't an option, it's just that we're trained so well that we go into it with enough confidence to have a 100% pass rate for 3 full years, which is pretty impressive.
Continuing on that, not only does she prepare us very well for the test, she actually prepares us for the real life experience as well. This class, you learn something that you don't learn anywhere else, and it's how to give great, compassionate healthcare. Not only is it focused on all of the nitty-gritty that you have to learn, all the books, it's really, you really learn how to be a great provider and really care for people, to care about the patient experience, to care about other provider experiences. And so that's one of the biggest things that I really want to drive home. I'm going to give my testimonial of where I went after completing the CNA program. I completed the CNA program my junior year of high school and went on to get my EMT license, if you can tell by the shirt. I then graduated Crockett as valedictorian. I went on to Vanderbilt University studying. I'm pre-med currently, entering my junior year, can't believe it. And I study narrative medicine and basically public health. Mandy likes to be fancy. So now I work at Greene County EMS whenever I'm home from school. And the care that I learned to give people from this class, even though I'm not currently working as a CNA, I worked as a CNA, is just so valuable to me. Not only that, there is not a lot of, if in the pre-med program you need clinical hours to prepare to apply to med school. And so I now have over 2,000 hours to apply to med school with, and I'm just a junior in college. Most people end up applying with at most 500, so it's incredible. Not only this, I work in a cancer research lab at Vanderbilt, and I also am an intern at the Quill and Anatomy lab. And so this has set me up perfectly. I am going to go on to med school soon, and I'm going to continue the great work that Ms. Wolf taught me and being a good provider and serving my community best I can. So I'm going to bring up another student to talk about their experience, and thank you guys.
So as soon as I graduated high school, I got a job right after at Lake Bridge. Today is my 2 years. I just got off work today. And those people haven't just become my residents, they've become my family. I care for those old people like they're my own grandmas and grandpas, and I get emotionally and physically attached to these people. It makes my day when they come in and I come in and they're excited to see me, and I'm so excited to see them too, and we know we're gonna have a good day. This class has also helped me in the military a bunch. Instead of going in as an E1, I actually got to go in as an E3. And as soon as I get back home for basic training and AIT school, I chose to be a combat medic, so that helped a bunch too. I'm going to get my bachelor's in nursing at ETSU, and this is also where we did our clinicals, was Lake Bridge, so I basically never left there. I've been there for almost 3 years if you count clinicals, and it's truly an honor getting to take care of people at the end of their life and making them feel better and giving them the best care and letting them know they're loved. Just because people in a nursing home, half the time, people don't come on Christmas. I get a lot of questions. They're like, why isn't my family here? And I'm like, I'm your family. I'm so happy and honored to be your family and take care of you and spend these holidays with you. And some of them call me their daughter, their granddaughter, and it's truly an honor that Ms. Wolf has this program and we get to experience the medical field. I feel like it's important before you're a nurse or a doctor or anything to work at the bottom of the pyramid, because that's where CNAs are. We're at the bottom, and a lot of people truly don't realize everything we see. Sometimes we have to bag bodies, we have to do postmortem care, and a lot of people don't realize how that actually is until you have to do it, and it's truly an honor. So
Similar to what Amber and Kitty Jo were saying, I also work at Lake Bridge, which is where we had done our clinicals at, and I honestly fell in love with the place in long-term care. Similar to what they said, just being a part of these people's everyday lives, it truly makes a difference, not only to them, but to the families when they do get to come in, seeing that there is someone there constantly who does care for their loved one like they're their own. It's really influential, and just knowing that I get to be a part of their lives, whether it's the end of their lives, whether they're there for rehabilitation care, it's really influential to know that I get to make a difference and that this program has given me that opportunity. I have also almost worked at Lake Bridge a year, so it's nice that we are able to do clinicals close in our community where we do feel like we get to make a big difference to people that we would normally have not met if it weren't for this career option. This program has given me a lot. When I first started in high school, similar to most people, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do. And then I met Miss Wolf through our summer school, and she showed me the anatomy lab at Crockett, and I just automatically fell in love with it. I was able to do the CNA program as a junior, so this year I spent my senior year over at TCAP doing their new LPN program. So I'm happy to say that in 8 weeks I will be an official nurse, which is an amazing feeling to know that if it wasn't for these amazing programs, I never would have found myself in that position. So it's really influential, and it has made a huge impact on my life, because I could say that I would not know where I would be at if it weren't for these programs. But in closing, I just wanted to say thank you to each and every one of you for helping make programs like this possible for our county. Like I said, it touches me in a very personal place, as well as many of these students. But I also wanted to say thank you to all the educators at David Crockett High School, including you, Miss Wolf, as well as Ashley Davis, and of course Kelly Haldren,
who has helped make this such an amazing opportunity for high schoolers to get in the real world. So, thank you guys.
Thank you.
I'm gonna bring mine up as I come up. Thanks for inviting us here. I'm Chris Tipton. I'm the digital graphic arts teacher at David Crockett High School. I'm gonna talk more about my Skills USA, the CGSO club that these students were a part of. They go into Skills USA, coming out of my class, going to different competitions, t-shirt design, pen design, advertising design, and graphic communications. The two students with me, Dawson and Simone, they competed in graphic communications this past year. Simone came in first place in graphic communications in the state. Dawson came in second. So we're going to Atlanta in a few weeks to compete nationally, with hopefully a chance to stage and come back in first place. These students also have Adobe certifications that we offer out of their classroom, which are the top tier certification in the state that the state sees as certifications. Simone has a couple of certifications, Adobe Illustrator and Adobe Photoshop. Dawson can tell you more about his. He has more than I can name, and actually he is probably the only student in the state of Tennessee with every Adobe certification. And I know for a fact he is the only student in Washington County and through ETSU that has all these certifications. There's not an ETSU student that has every one of these Adobe certifications. So I'm gonna let them talk a little bit about what they've done in the class, what they've experienced, but I'm also gonna pass these shirts around. It has our pen design and t-shirt design on them. These came out of the class from 2023, and this was 2024. This was the state competition winners that came out of the classroom of David Crockett. So y'all can look at these while they talk to you, or feel free to do with whatever. Thank you. First stage.
So Skills USA was a competition that me and Simone both competed in. Going into it, we really didn't know anything what we were doing other than it had something to do with graphic design. It was unlike any competition I've ever done. It wasn't you show up and you do something, you rehearse. We were there given something to do, and then we had to do it the best we could in the time we had. Which I could say converts directly into the workforce. You're just given something, you have to do it. We were just timed on how good and how well we were allowed to do it. I came second, got silver, and it was a completely new experience that I've never had to do before, but I'm very happy to say that I got and did it. We can talk about gold.
When I went to the competition, I was to get gold because of my performance, and now because of me getting gold there, I'm able to go to Interstate Graphics and do an internship, so that way when I go to nationals this summer, I'm more prepared than the students ordinarily would be. Learning the offset press, and Interstate Graphics is one of 3 print shops that still has one in the Tri-Cities area.
Yeah.
So the Adobe certifications, they are like nationally recognized and state recognized as directly translatable into workforce, and they will get you higher up. I have right now 10 certifications, which is as much as they will offer, which are in every single Adobe program I've become fluid in and taken the test. The tests are normally about 30 to 25 questions in 55 minutes that you have to like just go through the entire program, learn it, make sure you have it down, and then you have to like make sure that what they give you, you can do to a professional level. As Tiffin said, I got them all, and so I'll be going into ETSU with every single one under my belt. Without this class, I probably would not have had this other leg up, and I would be a lot further behind in trying to get a job and career in this program.
Good. Got any questions for him?
What's Adobe?
What's Adobe? Adobe is on your computer, Keith.
Forget it. It ain't on
It's,
the
it's, it's design software, your PDFs that you can look at, all your files, mostly publisher files and everything. Adobe is the creative platform that creates all that for us. So it's the worldwide leading design software. Star Wars was created with Adobe Premiere Pro. The t-shirts that y'all have, the students use Adobe Illustrator to do all that design work. One thing about one of those t-shirts, the one that has the ball mason jar on it, these students, they like he was saying, they do not have a design prompt. Right? They know what the theme is for the year. When it comes to Skills USA, after that, the sky's the limit. They can design whatever. They have to tie it to skills, and they have to tie it to the state. So the ball mason jar, the student that created it in 2023, she's like, you know, I'm going to put a mason jar because Tennessee and sweet tea and catching lightning bugs when I was a kid. That's what I have a feeling for. You know, that's what she had a feeling for. Funny story about that, though, that's copyright infringement. They tried to get us on copyright infringement. So that student then had to contact Ball to get permission to use their name on that jar. So she learned another step in the design process about, you know, you got to do it the right way. You can't just assume you can put something on a shirt and it be out for production. So that was a good story about that. And she got permission from Ball, a written statement, new letterhead, came to her directly, giving her permission to use Ball for anything and everything she wanted to.
That's free advertisement.
Yeah, yeah. And that shirt, these shirts go out to probably roughly 8,000 to 10,000 people in the state. And then, like I said, they'll go on to national competition and compete against the other 50 states. So it's these kids are getting ready to experience something big when they go to Atlanta, because there will be probably 300 job vendors there, not counting the colleges. So they're going to get exposed to what I could tell them the real world. You're getting ready to walk into the real world when you get down there to see what it's like. So.
In his class, or that program, designed CTE medals and our top 10 medals for the last
Yeah, now these two are totally different when it comes to the design side of it, or the graphic design side of it. Simone is more production, hands-on. She wants to run the equipment. You know, where Dawson, he was my IT guru. I mean, any design I needed done, I threw it to him. I mean, he was going to Miss Wolf's classroom and fixing her computers for her like the last week of school. You know, where Simone's like, don't make me draw anything, just let me print it after somebody else designs it, you know. But they need to know both sides of that for production. You know, just because it looks good on your computer screen, it may not translate to a shirt or a business card or a brochure or a billboard, so.
Great. Is this Skills USA competition, is it coordinated or at the same time with like the machinist, the skills?
Yes.
Competition?
Yes.
So it's same organization?
Yeah, same organization. So when we go to state, you know, there's 300, I think, competitions going on at the same time. Anything from machine shop, CNC, 2-axis, 3-axis programming to, you may have somebody building a cabinet next to you. You know, and then you have law enforcement. I know there's some CNA and medical stuff goes on when we're down there.
Yeah, I'd love to attend that.
So, yeah.
Still Chattanooga.
Chattanooga, yeah. The Nationals is in Atlanta for the next 5 years. So, yeah, come check it out. It's fun.
Are you guys seniors?
Yeah, they're graduates. So, I've lost a good group this year. This has probably been one of the best groups that's came through since I've been teaching. But on to the next.
Congratulations.
Yes, absolutely.
Best wishes at the competition.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you all. Got to prove it tonight. It's on the agenda. Thank you all.
Hello, we represent the Health Science Program at Daniel Boone High School. I am Michelle Phillips. I'm a registered nurse. This is my 4th year at Daniel Boone. I'll let Jessica and Megan just
Hi, I'm Amanda Altman. I'm also an RN. I teach the CNA program at Daniel Boone. This is coming up on my 3rd year.
I'm Jessica Walker. I am a registered respiratory therapist, and I'm also coming up on my 3rd year of teaching.
We brought 2 students who recently graduated. We have Emma Crow and Amelia Hildebrand. We'll hear more from them here in just a minute. have 3 certification programs within our health science program at Daniel Boone High School. I teach the pharmacy technician program. It's only available for seniors because you have to be within so many days of graduation before you can take the test to become certified. That program includes job shadowing. They go to hospital pharmacies. Did y'all know there's pharmacies in the hospital? Not the Walgreens, but like the pharmacists. So they spend time with the pharmacists and the pharmacy technicians there. And then they also go to retail or community pharmacies. So we have multiple agreements with a lot of different pharmacies in our area that these students go and job shadow at.
I teach the medical assisting program this year. We had a 91% pass rate. We are also out in the community at different places. Our children, our students, they get all kinds of hands-on experience in multiple urgent cares, doctor's offices, aesthetics. We've sent them all different places. I believe 4 of my students have graduated and have jobs coming straight out of school. Some of them had jobs in December before they actually graduated.
I do, like I said, the Certified Nursing Assistant program, and you can actually do that as a junior or a senior. So that's a nice advantage that my program does have. So we did clinicals at Princeton Transitional Care, which is a long-term care facility that focuses a lot on rehabilitation and the hope of getting patients home. However, they do have the long-term care side where patients do live there until, end of life. And then we also got to go to Johnson City Medical Center and do clinicals. We were on ICU, adult ED, we went to PEDS, PICU, med-surg, and a cardiac floor. So again, they are given so many opportunities to see all kinds of different fields, areas, and while they're paired with a CNA, they also can see what nurses are doing, what respiratory therapists are doing, what practitioners are doing. So they're exposed to all kinds of different real-world positions to kind of help them see, okay, this is getting my foot in the door, and maybe this is what I want to do, and maybe I don't. So it gives them a lot of great experience. Oh yeah, that's me too, sorry. So CNA program. Typically we only do it in the spring semester. However, for this upcoming school year, we have been very blessed that we actually are going to be doing it in the fall and the spring because there was such a demand for it. So I do have 28 students between the 2 semesters that are going to be completing the CNA program. We also had record enrollment in our medical assisting program. So there is going to be 22 students in that program, which is huge again. And then certified pharmacy tech is at full capacity for the spring semester, which is also a very big deal for these programs to just see that growth over the last few years. We are very blessed. We are very thankful that all these students are interested in healthcare because, as we know, healthcare is something that we all need at some point in time in our lives, or someone that we know. So we are very excited that our program continues to grow and that we are given the ability to offer these students the programs that we do at Boone.
Can you help me with what the letters all stand?
Yes. So CNA is Certified Nursing Assistant. CCMA is Certified Clinical Medical Assistant. And then CPHT is Certified Pharmacy Tech. And then the Medical Assisting and Pharmacy Tech tests are through NHA. And then my CNA test is through the state of Tennessee. It's actually governed by the Board of Nursing.
Thank you.
And we make a big deal about those letters. Yeah. The kids get to use them after their name, which is huge. That's very important, and it's hard to get these letters behind their name. These aren't easy tests, so thank you for asking.
Yeah.
We strategically place our students in the right places, the right time. We mentioned a few, but Holston Medical Group is a huge facility that will take our students. Princeton Rehabilitation, CNA students are there. State of Franklin Healthcare, I send my medical assisting students there. Ballard, we have CNA pharmacy and medical assisting, and then our local pharmacies are really, really big on bringing our students in and welcoming them. We have to keep those connections all year, every year, to kind of get our students back in there. We have a huge flux in our students coming in this year, so we're continuously reaching out to new places so we can get our students into new places as well.
So we have a huge focus on getting our kids ready for what's next? College, career, a mixture of both. And we don't want to just send our kids out and say, I did this, I'm good to go. We want them to know that they need to be able to talk to other people. They need to be able to interview for jobs. They need to be able to look people in the eye, have a conversation. They need to be able to write a resume that shows that they are prepared and they do have skills that they can market for different jobs. So to that end, we had some HR representatives come, and we had so many kids that needed this. We actually did it in a little theater, but they walked through how to interview, do's and don'ts of interviewing. What should they wear? What should they not wear? What should they say? What should they not say? How to write a resume. Our kids brought, we call them our kids, because they really are. Yeah, they become part of our heart. But our students brought resumes for these HR representatives to critique and give feedback on. We recently had the opportunity to go to Ballard and tour, and one of the main things one of the Ballard supervisors asked, actually it was not there, it was at Bell Helicopter, he said, do y'all teach them how to write resumes? And I'm like, actually, yes, we do, because they need to know this. It's important for industry. We also have all kinds of ways for them to learn about careers. Not every single one of them wants to be a nurse. And I tell the students, if you take our classes and decide healthcare is not for you, that's great, because you saved a lot of money before you got to college to find out then. And that's wonderful, because not everybody's going to be a nurse or a respiratory therapist. But a lot of them learn that, hey, this is awesome. I will always have a job, a good job, that I get to be challenged, get to learn, and get to take care of others and help others. We have 2 students who were accepted into the early admissions program for Bill Gatton College of Pharmacy. This blows my mind. They're accepted into a doctorate program as a senior in high school. And they get to actually save about a year to 2 years overall to get their doctorate in pharmacy. So, and 2 of my students were accepted to that. So it's awesome, and we're doing a really good job, and we're really passionate about taking our students and preparing them for what's next.
We talk a lot about our certification kids. We also have health science kids, that's our introductory class, anatomy, and we have medical therapeutics. So we try to bring other professionals in to talk to our students. I'm a respiratory therapist. I can tell you all the things respiratory. They can tell you all the things nursing. So we brought in a flight nurse this year to talk to our students, because everybody thinks flying in a helicopter is super cool. A dental hygienist. We have students come from other schools. We have Milligan students. We've had Northeast State students. And then we have multiple Ballard representatives that come in and talk about different things to our students. We try to give them as much hands-on as we possibly can. We took them to Northeast State to do a field trip through their medical building to kind of get a different idea of different things and students' perspectives there on what they do. The CCMA class, this past year we dual enrolled with TCAT, so they can take the hours that they earned in my classroom and they can expand. They can get phlebotomy certification off of that. They can go and do EKG tech. We partnered with TCAT to offer the LPN program. We had one student from our school, Ricky, who could not be with us tonight, who is going to graduate with the Crockett student. I forgot her name. Yeah, Sydney, as an LPN as well. We have ETSU guest speakers. We have health professional tours, different facilities. And then Ms. Phillips took her students to the Bill Gatton pharmacy, and they toured and they got to compound actual medicines with them. So we try to give them as much hands-on experience as we possibly can within sometimes school hours. Sometimes those are outside of school hours. So we really try to give them as much as we possibly can to do a career avenue or figure out what it is exactly they want to do.
Yep. Okay, so HOSA is our CTSO that is associated with the health science pathway. So it's future health professionals. So we like to stress that HOSA is actually an organization. It is not a club. It is a professional organization. It's recognized internationally. So this year we actually do have our HOSA Bowl team who is going to internationals. It is in Nashville this year, so in our own backyard, which we're super excited about. I think it was in Texas last year. Yeah, so it was in Texas last year, so they switch up locations. But we are super excited for them to go to that. we do things through the community. We go into nursing homes, we'll do crafts, we did bingo one weekend with residents. So we try and get out into our community to get our students involved and know the people of our community. I'm gonna actually let one of our students, Emma, come and talk about how HOSA helped her throughout her high school career, what her involvement was in HOSA.
Hey, so my name is Emma Crow, and I joined HOSA my sophomore year, and I was a very shy, timid person, and I never would have thought that I would be here talking to you all about HOSA. But through my senior year, I was able to become a leader within the organization and go to the state leadership conference, and I was there, and we cheered on the HOSA Bowl team and also competed in our own individual competition. And it was a really good experience, and it really helps you grow as an individual and just gain those vital skills as you grow. So I think it's a great opportunity for our students.
Tell them what your plans are.
For like your life.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was able to get the medical assisting certification and also the pharmacy certification, and I will be taking those to Appalachian State University in Boone, North Carolina. And I also plan on hopefully working in the pharmacy there on the state clinic, or the school clinic. So hopefully that'll all work out. And I'm going to study kinesiology as well. So it'll be fun. I'm excited.
What are your career plans?
To be a physician assistant.
And this is Amelia. She's going to tell you about her plans. So where are you going to go to school?
Hi, I'm Amelia. I graduated with my medical assistant license as well as my pharmacy technician license. I plan on going to King University, majoring in pre-pharmacy and but also biology. So, and then transferring to Bill Gatton College of Pharmacy, where hopefully I'll become an ER pharmacist. I got to experience an ER pharmacist at my clinicals at Holston Valley, and I learned so much. I got to meet so many different pharmacists, and I really liked ER, so hopefully I'll become an ER pharmacist.
Awesome.
Yes. I just want to say also about HOSA really quick. Our officer team actually went into several of the elementary schools in our county, and we're talking about the program, which was so fun for them to have the opportunity, but also for those upcoming 7th and 8th graders to hear before they even come to high school about what our program is, and they can hear from other students, you know, because we can sit here and sing its praises all day, but when you actually hear from other students and the impact that it's made on them, that really makes a huge difference. So we're super proud of that.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Thank you all, really. Thank you for your support, because without you all doing the things you do and making the decisions you do, we couldn't do what we do, and they couldn't do what they do. So thank you all. Do you all have any questions?
Thank you for what you do.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thank you
Thanks
so
to
much.
the instructors. Congratulations to all the students. You know, you guys are pursuing careers that are in high demand in our area with the growing baby boomer generation, and so many people moving to Upper East Tennessee. I know for a fact there's a shortage of CNAs and a lot of healthcare, so you're not going to be without work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. That's everyone.
I will say one thing. I had a daughter that went through Miss Wolf's program down there, and that woman sitting right there was my daughter's favorite teacher. She thought the world of that woman out there.
The feeling was mutual.
She's makes a lot more money than I do right now, so.
So we also do have a student from Boone who has taken the ENT class over there, so it's nice to be able to accommodate those students if there's not the same program that they can transfer over and do those classes. It's really nice that they work together and accommodate the student, because that's what we're all about, is taking care of them.
I was actually a HOSA student and went through that when I was a sophomore, I believe. Of course, they didn't offer the EMT and things like that, but I went on to Northeast State and got my EMT. And I know it was because of that class and the love of my teacher. I can't for the life of me remember her name, but she still got a special place in my heart. If it wasn't for her, I would have not had the desire. Miss Hutchins, okay. So instructors, teachers, nurses, thank you for what you do. Thank you for loving your kids, and call them kids. That's what they are. You let them be it, but you're preparing them. And I love that you all help with resumes and the interview process and all that stuff, because the world is big and it will eat you up if you're not prepared. Nurses, CNAs, students, graduates, all this instruction will do you well. But you were born with, your parents taught you, your life experiences taught you that you need to be compassionate. You need to be sympathetic, empathetic. That's what gives you the want and the passion to care for the people that you're caring for. The teaching just teaches you how to do it. You have to have that root compassion, and that is the secret to why you all are the ones doing this, because not everybody is cut out for it. You are a special mold of an individual. So on your bad day, it's still a good day. Remember that.
And I'll try to remember what Adobe is.
Just come by the class, Keith, we'll get you started.
Well, yeah. Adobe back in my day was, well, I ain't gonna say what it was.
That's where you lived.
That was
an Adobe.
That was the wrong
That was
pronunciation.
Adobe.
Yeah, I'm not on there.
Do I have a recommendation for the consideration of the meeting agenda?
So moved. I'll second.
Mr. Hammond. And again, there was no public comment, so. Announcements.
Approval of the minutes.
Skipped right over there. Do I have a recommendation for the approval of the meeting minutes? Oh, yeah. So sorry, Jennifer, can we vote?
You want to let them know they can go.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thanks for coming. Thank you all so much. Good luck.
Excellent.
Roasted over there.
Adobe.
Stop it.
Mr. Huddleston.
Oh, fine. Okay, sorry. Yes.
I'll agree.
Okay.
There was no public comment. Approval of
For the third time.
For the third time. Go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes, the meeting minutes for May 1st, 2025, May 27th, 2025, and June 3rd, 2025.
I'll say, second that.
We vote, Jennifer. Announcements.
The announcing some dates, just to call to your attention, summer school session started June 2nd. Will end at the end of June, June 26th. We have this first week approximately 295 students registered. We expect to add about 20 next week because of some vacation conflicts, family vacation conflicts, but we'll serve over 300 K through 8 students in summer school. County Commission meeting, just to address the budget, is been advertised and set for June 18th, 2025 at 6 p.m. That earlier that day, there's a public forum in the morning, I believe at 9 a.m. on the budget, and then the commission indicates they have a budget committee on the budget meeting scheduled following that public hearing. Our Rising Ninth Grader AMP Camp is the week of July 21st. I've shared with you the update of the number of students that have registered at this point. And just as the 4th of July holiday, all district office, schools, and services will be closed Friday, July 4th.
Are we changing our date?
Yes.
Work date?
We have,
It's at the very bottom.
we have the proposed 25-26 calendar for the board meetings at the end. Superintendent's reports, if I can move on to that. Just normal reports on enrollment, the grant updates, maintenance report, monthly financials that were provided to you at the workshop. And then other, yeah, that was from previous, so it's still there, but it was just a list of student use student transportation vans, but that was from previous. But other than that, that's all the documents just for board pool awareness and public record.
Is there a recommendation for the consideration of the consent agenda?
I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Can we vote, Jennifer?
Is the commission meeting on the Wednesday the 25th or Monday the 23rd? There's two
One on
different
the
dates listed.
18th and one on the 23rd.
I don't know that I saw a 25th day, there's no 25th.
The Wednesday is the 25th, Monday's the 23rd.
Wednesday's the 18th.
I'll agree.
That's the budget meeting, the special or the separately called budget meeting.
And then they.
Then is the next meeting Monday or Wednesday?
That's the next meeting is a regularly called meeting on Monday, June 23rd.
Okay, it says Wednesday in here, that's why we were.
Sorry.
That's why it was a question.
Yeah, I just want to wait.
Yeah, that's a Monday, their normal, their regular schedule.
Okay, I think we're ready for the list.
And all of their meetings are on the Washington County Commission website and their calendar. If you ever want to check our dates, and they do change periodically, and they do keep their calendar update when they make changes.
All right, we are moving on to the Lewis Group.
Okay, we have Paul and Ginger here from the Lewis Group.
Hi. We went and visited David Crockett and Daniel Boone to see what the progress has been made. There's been a lot of work. You can see here the exterior of Daniel Boone. And if you go to the next one, we have a lot of the finishes already made. Millwork's done, painting, they're finishing a few things on the vestibule, base work to be finished, so they have been moving along on that one. And then on the next one we have David Crockett, and this is on the interiors. They have done a lot on the interior, so all of the storefronts up, the flooring, they have the millwork already done. You can see it on the next one where you have the two counters, and some decisions are being made on the finishes for the exterior, and once that masonry goes up, they'll be able to do the roof and the windows. So everything has been moving along on those. We also brought you the CD, the construction document check set for the security project, and on that one, basically you can see there's 80-something pages in there. But basically what we have is the architectural, the mechanical, electrical, and there's only 2 schools that have fire protection, and then the structural changes. As we mentioned before, when we came in, we had talked to the State Fire Marshal, and he recommended that since we're gonna bid it either together or separately, and they already have different TFM, like State Fire Marshal numbers,
that we go ahead and submit them separately. So we went through that. We'll probably need a couple of weeks to finish up a check set internally, submit it to the state fire marshal, but we're thinking that in a couple of weeks we'll be able to go ahead and advertise for bid. And then a month later have a bid opening for it. And we'll do our usual, I know you guys usually advertise on a newspaper, and we usually send it out to Knoxville Builders Exchange and other portals, so plenty of people can be able to look at it. So that one has been moving along.
Great.
And then we have one more update on the boiler building.
Question, if you don't mind, on the first photograph you showed Daniel, I want you to go back to that.
Yeah, that it doesn't have the finish yet.
Yeah, well, just over the entrance, there's a big space.
Yes.
What will be there?
So that's where the main entry, the letters would go.
The sign,
Yes, there's going to be a signage.
Yeah, Dan Boone High School.
Okay, good. Well,
Yes.
I thought so, but
Yeah, and we have the address underneath it too.
yeah. So it'll draw visitors' attention to that.
Yeah, and that way it's a different material too, so it'll seem like a proper main entrance. It'll draw your eye to be able to go to, which before we didn't really have anything like that. And having that popping up also helps a little bit.
Yeah, so the boiler at Boone, so 2 o'clock today, we had bid opening, and we got two bidders. That was Norwell Company and Preston Construction, and we've got a little bit of vetting. We just did it today, so we got a little bit of vetting of license numbers and and everything like that, and monetary limits. But it would appear that the apparent low bidder, all the necessary forms were included in both bids, and it would appear that the apparent low bidder is Norwell Company, and that number was $2,269,420. And if you all remember, the estimate was around 2.2, so it's like pretty much right in line with that. So I think Jeremy was there too. Today I think everything seemed like is in order, and again, pretty much in line with. There's always concerns that it's going to be more, and especially with a lot of discussions about tariffs and the like, right? So we don't it's an interesting time to bid projects, but that one came in pretty close. So
does that have the contingency figured into it too?
Yeah, that includes the contingency. Yeah,
that's 5%, 10%.
5%. Yeah.
What about the gas? Is that?
It's not included. Remember, that's not included because they take it from the point it comes onto the site, and that's where this project starts.
What we received as an estimate a few months ago, it was at 300,000, I think, 350.
331.
Yeah. So, there's a chance it could be higher. There's also a thought that maybe if we engage with the company, being a government entity, there might be, but we need to explore what options could help with the pricing.
So just a couple of questions. These are all-inclusive bids, general bid for the civil, electrical.
That's correct. That includes, yeah.
These two companies. You guys or Jeremy, do we have experience with these companies or background with them?
No, I've done several projects with this before.
Which was the low bidder?
Yeah, Preston hasn't directly, I don't think, worked for us. They did the Booth Creek Athletic Facility for the county. Was the only project I've worked with them a little bit on.
I know Norwell has a strong presence in the area.
Region. And Rusty Willick, who you met a couple of meetings back when he came up and presented, about the mechanics. He's our mechanical engineer, and he's very comfortable with, has worked with Norwell too. So yeah.
And the number of days was about the same on both schools.
Yeah, it's 365 days. It's a year. So that surprised me a little bit, but the other one was 350 days, so it was about the same. And they're probably anticipating some long lead
items, you know, for some of this equipment is probably what it boils down to. And the anticipated start date for both of those was basically 1st of August, so.
So hopefully when we switch over, that'll be when school's out.
Well, if it starts 1st of August, when you switch over, you know, it'll be about, hopefully, and maybe we can do some negotiating, right, that with them, that maybe that could happen.
July maybe.
Yeah, right, just a little before, so, but
We certainly would like to have the opportunity to see the system running before we have our students back.
Yes, there's no doubt about that.
Can we put an incentive in the contract?
What's that?
Can we put an incentive in the contract to ensure that, help ensure?
You know, we could, or we might just start by making that request, you know, and maybe you don't have to pony up any more money, right? And see how, but yes, I mean, that's
Thinking
also
more like a negative incentive.
Yeah, right. Like liquidated damage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll vet all the license numbers, everything, you know, we feel sure that, I mean, they're very reputable, we're very sure that that's fine, but we'll double check all that stuff and move to the next phase.
So I guess it'll be up to you after we communicate with you about vetting all of this to vote on, negotiate and then vote on who you want to go with.
So there's no expectation the board to act tonight on this bid?
We just assumed that you would not be, but,
Okay.
you know, I mean.
Well, I mean, if we feel like we need to go ahead and just verify all the information, if we're very confident that they certainly have all of the requirements met. But it could be pushed, I guess if it's pushed to July 1, I'm not really understanding. I thought we were planning on voting on this tonight.
And you know, one thing we could do, you could vote on it, you know, and just say pending.
Contingent upon them,
you know,
meeting all the.
everything checking out.
And the date.
Met all the requirements and that they certainly would meet the completion date.
Sure, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
I see no reason why you couldn't do that.
If somebody, I guess somebody would have to make a motion to be able to.
The board will have to take action.
Okay.
I make a motion that we award it to Norwell by everything goes through like it needs to be.
And that the date's negotiated.
And the date would be, we'd like to see it done July 15th, by July 15th.
We want it ready before the next school. Yes, sir. 2027, 2020.
Right.
July 15th.
School start.
Good enough?
I mean, the earlier the better, but, you know, as long as it's before school, I mean, I'd ask Mr. Moore, if earlier the better, I'm sure.
I believe it will be done, you know, well, earlier than 365, but yeah, by July would be great.
Yeah.
July 15th.
That's only a couple of weeks away from the beginning of August, so.
It feels like a reasonable ask.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah. I do want to point out what we have received approval using educational capital fund was $2.2 million. This lowest bid exceeds that by $69,420. The options would be that I would have to go back to through Hugh and go through the process to change that amount. If the board would consider approving with, you know, right now applying the $69,420 using our funds, but with me going back to Hugh to increase the amount to $69,420 to change the amount. We can move forward with getting everything in place, and then I would just have to go back to Hugh to add that 60, you know, to request the additional $69,420 instead of the board utilizing fund balance.
Mr. Walters.
So do I need to amend
or add to his motion?
I just want the board to know, I mean, I've kind of deferred to Mr. Hale, what is his thought on any language that might need to be added to the motion?
The way that I believe it should be added is you make a motion to accept this bid contingent on what this gentleman said, with approved funds of 2.2 million from the County Education Capital Fund, with the remaining 69,420 to be covered by the general fund if the commission doesn't pick up the rest, meaning the Education Capital Fund. That's a lot of wording in there, but that's what we're doing, because ultimately we have to have, if we're going to move forward with that, we have to have that 2,269,000 set aside now, earmarked. So we're going to pay for that 69,000 out of the general fund unless Mr. Boyd goes back through the process and then they agree to modify that. Because they'll have to do another resolution of the commission to change it from 2.2 to 2.6.
What about the 300,000? Where's that gotta come from?
Well, I mean, that's a separate project. We can engage with, through the process, you and the budget committee, the full commission and educational capital funds.
So we could go and ask them for $369,420.
231 plus the 60.
Oh.
Yeah, we
$31,
could approach it that way, yes.
And Keith, what that means is they wouldn't be giving us new money, they would just say, the money we've already got allocated in that fund, we have to adjust.
Yeah.
So the money's there, it's just, we'll have to modify.
So how much money's in that fund right now?
Roughly it's about $3 million a year, but we have carryovers from the stuff that we haven't spent, and I don't have that right in front of me right now,
But they are enough in the capital projects fund to take care of these.
as long as we reduce
Other
projects in that fund that we have planned.
Okay.
And what's in next year's, in the 5-year plan, what's been identified, is $2 million for the, security vestibule work. Officially the 2.2 was from this year's approval, but if it's not spent, it'll roll over and essentially be in fund balance. But what we have scheduled for next year is $2 million, some bus purchases in the neighborhood of 500,000, and then a few other items.
So we have that 2.5 spoken about right now.
We would probably have to make some adjustments, but to answer your question, Mr. Irvin, in next year's amount, there's enough money to cover the 69,420, and likely if the commission agreed the 300,000 for the or 350,000 for the gas lines.
But with us doing this right now, that's automatically locked up at 2.2, right?
It's already
It's already been approved by the
It
commission.
does have been approved.
But they would not allow us to move forward with the project if we did not address the amount above the 2.2 that they approved, so. By the motion of what was suggested, that, if it's not covered by the commission, then we would utilize.
And that would come out of the
general purpose
maintenance.
dollars.
We have a line in the maintenance section for items just like this, so you actually put more funding in that line for the FY26 budget because of past historical expense, so that's where it would be coming from. If the commission did not agree to increase it on their side.
I still make my motion, and my motion will say for Mr. Boyd to go back and ask for the 69,000, go through Hugh and try to get the 69,000 to reimburse us at our fund balance.
It just needs to also say we will cover it if they don't, or else.
Okay.
Or else we, in my opinion, we can't move forward with the project.
Okay. We covered the 69,000.
It's gonna be covered one way or the other.
Yeah. You still second it?
Yes.
Any more discussion? Let's vote, Jennifer.
37.
let us know if something happens? I mean, yay or nay?
Yeah, of course.
Elected director, no.
We'll get on that tomorrow. Sure.
Yeah,
Get
and
with them.
Yeah, I mean, we wouldn't issue any notice to proceed until we get all of these finalized, clarified.
All details there to verify.
Sure. Yeah. It won't take too long. It should be pretty easy and painless.
Pretty simple project. Compared to most what you guys do.
Yeah, well, yeah. Not too bad. Any other questions or?
Well, just for all the boards, Ms. Buchanan, is able to make her aware of the block covering at David Crockett High School, instead of the brick, that we could not match the color.
Right.
I think we went with a cast stone
Yeah.
of a little larger size instead of brick on just that outside vestibule area. The rendering looks really good. Dr. Davis and Crockett staff have looked at it. It looks really good. The brick was just not able to match, and it wouldn't have looked good to use another brick. So the options that were presented, I think, was a really good option.
I think so, and we left the actual samples, with Merritt.
Okay.
Today, and, so we brought them up.
Okay, so he
And
has
so,
that.
to make the actual,
sample.
yeah, and they're an actual 8x24, so it's a much larger module, they're very heavy.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what we all wanted to avoid was a near miss, with trying to match the brick, so I think this was.
I don't think they make 1970s colored brick anymore.
It's.
The only thing I could find that would match it, I actually reverse image search for it, and it was a salvage brick. So it would have been crazy. And Mary tried to get other bricks to match.
There was like 20 samples I saw out there.
They considered painting it, but after a few years it would look different.
It will look really good.
How much longer will it be before the projects are done?
So we have, our deadline is supposed to be in the middle of July.
Yes, July 15th.
So, so far everything, we just need to make decisions so that we can, keep moving as we are. So that should be, so far we haven't heard.
Should be right on.
I went at Boone this week and looked at theirs. It looks great, but when you walk into the vestibule, are we gonna leave that brick original? We're not gonna paint it all or what's the plan?
So they have gone back and cleaned it up on the vestibule, so it's more, all of it is more cohesive, and it has some of that same color, and they have gone back and cleaned it up. We went and we talked to Jeff with Mary about that.
I just like the natural brick that was there, but.
Yes, and we talked about painting, and we're like, no, we want to just leave the entirety of the brick.
And then coming out of the office into the existing hallway, the tile was all chipped. What's the plan for
So
that?
we have an option because the principal, of course, she wants to advocate for her school. So one of the options that we asked for was pricing on just, there's some sections where we have carpet and
Yeah,
then
because
there's
when you walk out of it, there's a short piece of carpet, and it's just all different colors.
So we have gotten a pricing for just redoing the entirety of that hallway as that LVT, that steady stride grayish color. And we have enough money on the contingency to do it, but it would, I just got it today, so I have to send it out for approval.
Is that the same material that's at Crockett that you're talking about?
Yeah, same LVT.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
The wood grain look LVT.
Yes,
Is it the same color that's in the new office now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So it'll be.
That looked really good.
Yeah, it'll make sense with everything, and it's a neutral color, so it'll match everything.
What kind of code? What color code is it?
No.
I'm sorry?
What color code base you put?
Should be a rubber base.
And it'll,
What color?
it's supposed to match each school. So the one at Crockett matches the existing one, and theirs at Boone is a black one. So it was easy.
I noticed what colors that is.
Yeah, so it was easy to match. The other one we went back with samples, make sure it matches. So we got the closest one, and it looks pretty good.
Looks good.
I'm just glad that Boone's finally getting a sign to code their main entrance, you know? That excites me like
I
crazy.
mean, took the opportunity for a little wayfinding, right? I mean, that,
Sure.
and, you know, we started with something bigger and then we pared it down, so I think it kind of does the trick in terms of, it creates kind of an entry without spending a ton of money to do it.
It's gonna
And signage.
make it look a lot better.
Yeah, people will know where to go anyway, right?
Yeah.
Looks good, looks really good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Safe travels.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'd like to go back to something on personnel reports, and I'm sorry I didn't bring it up as it went. As I'm looking at them, there's about 10 classroom positions, 1 school counselor, and then you've got your social workers, which we heard about at the last meeting. Are these current open positions that are going to be filled, or is there a hold on those positions? They're not filling them?
What are you referring to?
I'm referring to the non-renewals that I'm seeing.
Oh, they've all been posted and they've been interviewing for those jobs. The one that has not been posted, and I don't know why, waiting on the principal to initiate the process, was Ridgeview's guidance counselor.
Okay, so we are planning to fill those positions.
Yeah, what I've shared with the board, especially in the eyes of the budget, I just wanted to make sure each time, in addition to our process where they submit a request, I wanted a direct conversation with each principal.
Yeah, I remember reading that, yes.
Just to make sure we were on the same page and they understood there may be a situation where some of the new hires, even after we hire them, there may be difficult decisions down the road that they may have to be released.
Thank you.
That was all that, we certainly hope that's not the case.
Right.
We're working towards a direction that will not be the case, but I just wanted to make sure we had that conversation. But they've been posted. There's only a few positions that have been held, and really and that was normal because it's about ratios. If they had really low ratios, then we would hold positions, and then when the school year started, if we needed to add positions in different locations because their ratios were higher, we would just shift those positions to those schools. So not fill them until we know we need them. And right now, that's a total of 3 certified positions across the district.
Have you ever found where you've got 2 lower class size and over in another school and have to shift the teacher from one school to another?
That happens, yes, sir.
Yeah.
We always try, that's why what I've just mentioned, we try to do that in unfilled positions. But there are cases at the beginning of the year where you have to ask a teacher to move to a different location because of the ratio shifts.
Or somebody from another grade to have to move up or down.
Well, that's always an internal option
Right.
the principals must consider. That's the first one to consider. But in some cases, a move from building to building has to happen.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, at our workshop the other night, Dr. Wolf spent quite a bit of time on these student support job descriptions. Is there any questions about those? If not, do I have a recommendation?
Move we accept and approve the student support job descriptions as listed.
Second.
Any discussion? Can we vote, Jennifer?
Voting's open.
All agreed. Thank you. We also have the additional job descriptions for the coordinated school health. Have a recommendation for those.
Move we approve the additional job descriptions for health as listed.
Second.
Discussion? Seeing none, can we vote, Jennifer?
It's open. All agreed.
The preschool tuition for school year 2025-26. Is there a recommendation for those numbers?
I move for approval as recommended.
Second?
Any discussion?
Is that something that we could use to say we might cut?
You can cut the programs completely.
And
they're not required.
I'm in favor of it.
No, I'm just saying, I don't know about the tuition, other than if you increase it even more.
But some of that is required, right?
Yeah, it's intermingled, yeah, I mean, we can't completely cut all of our pre-K services, I guess I'll say that. That's just the most direct and the safest thing to say. This is for our tuition-based programs.
What I would say is before you would make a motion to cut it, it would probably be good for me to look at the expense, look at the grant funds we get, and look at the revenue that we generate to get a true cost impact, because when you consider all that, the financial impact's nowhere near as much as what's budgeted. It really minimizes.
Okay, well, I mean, I'm just.
Yeah, now, I would just, I mean, you can ignore me if you want, I would just, before you would make a decision.
I don't know that they're making a decision like that tonight anyway.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, everything would have to be looked at, yes, sir. Yes.
All right. Any more discussion? Can we vote, Jennifer?
Voting's open. All agreed.
Thank you. So you should have in front of you the final tabulation for the gym floors. Is there a recommendation for the gym floor replacements? Mr. Walters?
I make a motion that we award the bid to Fincham Sports Floors LLC, Cereal, Tennessee, for refinishing gym floors, system-wide at a number calculated to $56,659.
Second that.
Any discussion? Can we vote, Jennifer?
Voting's open. All agreed.
This is in finance. Purchase orders. So we have some purchase orders that
It came in after the workshop, yes.
came in after the workshop. There's quite a few of them. So we can start with the first one.
Yes, as you see, that's Teloptics is to install the controlled access technology at Daniel Boone High School in the amount of $14,203.70.
Can we go over all of these and look at them again?
If you would like, yes, ma'am.
That way maybe they can lump them all together. If we cannot, if there's anybody that wants to pull one out, please let me know.
If that's what you like, yes, ma'am.
Because both of these are optics, first two were.
Yes, one's for Boone and one's for Crockett and the projects. These were not included in the scope of the projects. The technology was pulled out for us to address to ensure that we got it, how we needed it to be configured. So you see the Crockett's a little less, $13,203.77. Next purchase order is not related to technology. This is our benchmark, our annual benchmark system and Mastery Connect system that our teachers use in the classroom for formative tests in the amount of $177,925.57. This is an annual renewal.
That's system-wide, correct?
Yes, that's 3 through 11 system-wide. Next one, Lexia Learning, is a literacy software that we have system-wide in our K-8s. And that's an annual renewal for all K-8s in the amount of $144,000. The next purchase order at Pearson, Ames Web is our universal screener. This is an annual renewal. in the amount of $27,028.50. Next one is a math software, classroom support software for teachers and students, grades 2 through algebra and math. It's an annual renewal of $76,720. Next one is continuing to work with our 6 through 12 social studies and science teachers in professional learning around personalized learning. This will be the second year of that work with our 6 through 12 science and social studies teachers, $129,000. Next one, College Board, AP exams, Daniel Boone High School. You can see $25,820. College Board, AP, David Crockett High School, $30,000, not to exceed for the exams. Next one is RG Young, which is our copier contract. This is a specific one. I guess this one would be, is this for the David Crockett digital?
Yeah, this is something separate.
It's ISM grant, so it's not with the digital art.
Right, it's separate than the print shop.
So, it's for Jones Elementary.
Yeah, it's through an Omnia pricing cooperative, but then it's ISM grant.
Yeah, so it's ISM funds in the amount of $18,282. And that is all of the purchase orders presented after the workshop.
Mr. Walters.
I make a motion that we approve purchase order 5274, 5276, 4180, 4181, 4182, 4183, 4184, 4349, 4402, 4187, and I believe that concludes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Jerry, the tele-optics one, is that buttons you push to open the doors? Is that what that's for?
It is. It's the controlled access with the camera, and it goes back to the desk.
The one we had before wouldn't work?
Well, we're gonna keep the one, we're in its current location at at Boone. And they moved it down to the gym, and you're gonna continue to keep that for employee access.
Okay.
And they're gonna, put new equipment, probably updated, more modern equipment in the 2 new entryways.
So this will be addition to that?
Yes, sir.
Will that allow the doors to be open like in the mornings and in the afternoon?
You can do it on a timer, like in this building, you can put it on a timer so that it unlocks at a certain time and locks back.
Yes,
but also the controlled access with the camera and the buzz in to the building.
A couple of questions on the 2 tele-optics purchase orders. Do those monies come out of the education capital fund?
No, sir.
So
they were not included in education capital fund.
Okay. On the 2 college board POs, and look at those. The date, approval date on those was January, and it said that board approved both those on January 9th.
You're changing the amount. The actual amount is what was expended with College Board. So you approved an amount, and we had either more or less tests, and so we're adjusting the amount.
Okay, thank you. Are these funds out of this year's budget, next year's budget?
All of the
the renewals will be next year.
Renewals will be next year. This particular one, the College Board, those 2 purchase order 4349 and 4402 are actually this year, FY25.
Well, as we're looking at possible future areas where have to be the reduction, is there anything here? I guess it's not a great question, but is there anything here that we can do without?
Well, even if you approve this before we initiate it, there's a clause in these agreements that if funding is not provided, we can cancel the agreement.
Thank you.
Any more discussion? Can we vote, Jennifer? moving on to the 5-year educational capital fund plan.
Yeah, I put up on the screen. Took our format, and what was shared with the budget committee. You know, I did remind them at the budget committee that the board has not acted on this, but they wanted us to provide the draft that we had. So we did as they requested, specifically Mr. Meredith requested. So took this year's, the current year amount, as you see, all of the items that we had listed. And again, this is a plan, unless some of these things we may not address, but we put them in there as a projected plan of expenditure. You know, we did in FY25 this particular year, we did spend for the high schools. The projects are in 1.5 million of the 3.5 million that was originally approved. So I tried to update FY25 to represent what we expended in FY25. We've gotten approval for the Daniel Boone High School HVAC, you know, water cooling and heating system replacement in the amount of 2.2 million. So I included that in FY25. So with all of those expenditures, if they are actually spent to that amount, it says total expenditure for that year, for this particular year, was 5.3 million, with projected fund balance ending being 1.7 million in the fund balance. Now that's relative, that's estimate. It's not exact, like we have a conversation about every fund balance. We don't know until it's finalized, you know, that the exact number. We can estimate really closely though. FY26, we carried it out. The commission has asked for a 5-year projected expenditure plan with these educational capital funds that's managed by the county. So what we do is we carry the penny rate. We were told this year's current 2026 penny rate is $555,625, and what has been assigned to this fund is 5.3 pennies. I think it's actually 5.34, but 5.3 pennies. And that is where we get the calculated available funds. You know, 555,625 times 5.3 gives us the total amount of revenue projected, and then we carry that on down through our expenditures. So we carry forward the previous year estimated fund balance. That's the total amount available for the year at that point, and then we identify the prioritized expenditures. We continue to have, and also we continue, as was stated to the commission, an attempt anyway to pull our technology out, and then the idea was we would start building it up into the general purpose fund and take it out of the educational capital fund. We may have to change that strategy, but anyway, each year the plan was to reduce it by a small amount, and the idea was we would try to increase the GP to shift where the funds for technology comes from. But in FY26, you can see the amounts projected, including a school bus, about 880,000. This year was 600,000. You see the remaining balance of what was originally allocated or approved to be allocated of 3.5 was $2 million, and that was for the remaining security entry enhancements that we will be hopefully deciding how to bid that out soon. And then we also have on our roof schedule, right now the only immediate roof on the schedule is the transportation department roof, and this is not a roof complete replacement. It was recommended by the roofing company. There's some options that would not require a full roof replacement. So that amount is 100,000. And then we just carry through what we know or project as expenditures. These do not include all of the capital, projected capital expenditures. There's some other maintenance, building maintenance that's not captured in this 5-year plan. But we're trying to live within the amount that they have established, as far as the penny. So per Mr. Meredith's lead, he applies a 0.75% growth of the penny each year. So that's why you see each year the penny rate increases a little, which in turn increases the revenue a little, and we just reflect that in the 5-year plan. I did point out to the budget committee, particularly 2028, especially the school bus line, 3.2 million. It's projected, by our transportation department on a bus schedule. Apparently 15, 17 years ago, Washington County bought a huge number of buses that are coming offline and going back and forth, but Mr. Roberts is really adamant that even though we have reduced some routes, the buses that we need to replace is still a high number, and that's where that 3.2 million, in addition to every year bus prices go up a certain percentage. So what I pointed out to the budget committee is this number right here at the bottom. With these planned purchases and the revenues that were currently projected in this fund, if those expenditures and all the ones previous were made, then it would create a just almost a $1.1 million deficit at that point in time in the fund balance. Or you wouldn't have a fund balance, you would be negative 1.1 million with that large number of bus purchases. Then we carry forward. So that's just a 5-year projection. As we've seen, this is just a projected plan. Plans can be modified. But wanted to put that out there to the commission. The other big item in the FY30 year is this one right here, and it's the Crockett roof replacement, main building. In today's estimate, dollars is 3.5. By FY30, it could be 4.5.
Mr. Huddleston.
Going back to the original costs that we had on establishing the vestibules of all of the schools, help me with what that figure was for everything. I think that was including Crockett, Boone, and everything else. The original amount, which we figured was
3.5 million is what the amount that was identified in talking with the commission. 3.5 million.
But what was the amounts that
Lewis
Groups gave us?
Well, in our bid, that was why we identified 3.5 million in the original estimate, but when we bid,
right,
that's way above that. I don't remember the exact amount, but it was significantly above.
Wasn't it 5.5? Anybody remember?
I don't recall the
original amount.
I do not.
But it was well above the 3.5, based on the designs that we bid. Yes.
Okay, so right now, based on what we've got here, we've got 3.5, we're using the 1.5, we have 2 left over. If the new prices come in that are still above the amount that we need, then we either have to shift some of it from another location in order to cover that expense, or we've got to get more money for the commission, or we only do some of the schools.
Yes.
And they set all this up, the buses was about $70,000, and we needed X amount of dollars, and they come up with that figure to purchase that many buses, so that's what they just set aside. Nobody's saying nothing about the prices of buses and stuff has went up so much. So, to me, they're not looking at it the right way. They need to be looking at it saying, price of buses goes up, we still got to have 10 buses. So 10 buses at 60,000, that's 600,000. 10 buses today is, yeah, $150,000 a piece. They're not putting enough, they're not doing the right kind of figure. He's sitting up there going, oh, we'll add 1% or whatever at 0.75 in.
Well, I mean,
really, that
there's no figuring. They have set a certain penny amount,
and that's all they're going to do
until they adjust that. This is the projected revenue with the consideration there will be some growth, very small percent growth over time.
So it's took 17, so 12 pennies. It's took 12 pennies to take care of the Jonesboro payment?
No.
So we're at 17 pennies. I understand we've spent some, but
they redid the tax.
Yeah, they took the pennies and put them, I guess, towards debt service to pay the payment, which is around 3.2 million. When you include the Johnson City payment. And then they just put the pennies where, they kept our revenue the same and adjusted the penny rate. And then they moved the other pennies to debt service to wherever they needed to.
So if you look, the 17 pennies we used to get was based off before they had the tax increase.
Yeah, it was based off the penny rate.
So that 17 pennies in 2024 equaled 5.947 million. Well, now it would be about 10.6 pennies that would equal the same amount, but we don't get 17 pennies anymore. They lowered it to 5.3 so that our revenue didn't change. Well,
yeah, they held our revenue relatively.
Before Jonesboro was moved out, we got like 10.6, so the 10.6 now equals 17. We just, if they let us keep 17 pennies in there at the new rate now, oh man, that would
have been, well, I mean, I understand the Jonesboro penny that takes care of it. But you know what? I mean, I have I've watched many county commission meetings. I have never yet seen a county commissioner get up and say what's paid off. I'll be on the board 20 years this coming next year, and they financed Ridgeview and Grandview, although they was paying only the interest for a couple of years, right, Eric? Remember?
It's been a long time.
Okay, but they still, it took X amount of pennies to go into debt service to pay for it. So if it took 5 pennies back then, a penny was worth 130,000 or something like that. So it took X amount of pennies to take care of that debt. But today's penny's worth $5.55. Where's the money? See what I'm saying?
Not for sure. I'm not sure of all that. I will say, all the details aside, I'm really pleased that we have a 5-year capital plan. In past years that hadn't existed, and so for a 5-year plan is the projection is just that. You really start getting serious about the next couple of years because your prices, they get refined and there's it's a refresher.
We've had it for 10 years.
Yeah, I think when they established educational capital funds, the expectation is that we would continue to have it updated annually, 5-year plan.
And that was a good step. Prior to that, there was no 5-year plan at all. And it caused a lot of consternation.
Well, we always went to them and asked them for money. Now, for capital projects, there's our money that we can use for capital projects. But they're not feeding it like they was.
Well, clearly they're going to have to in a couple of years.
Well, clearly,
yeah.
I mean, they're not.
Well, I don't know what they'll do.
I mean, we
present the needs. It's their job to come up with the money.
Yeah. But
so in front of us is the plan. Is there a recommendation for the plan?
I move for approval of the 5-year capital plan as presented by the director.
There's a motion, is there a second? Mr. Hill seconded. Is there any discussion about the draft? Can we vote, Jennifer? Next is some budget amendments that we need to approve.
Yes, ma'am, and this is to, as it says, this is the current FY 25 budget amendments, end of the year budget amendments that Mr. Hill has prepared for all of these various funds and grants.
You know, the grants are listed there because those are general fund grants, so basically all of those are loaded into the general fund year-ending amendment. I just simply thought it'd be good to post those grants on there because all of those are not federal grants, all of them are general grants. So for example, the CPISM grant, that's our largest one. It's now fully loaded in the year-ending grant. The summer school grants, there's 2 of those, that's about $1 million. Those are now in that general fund document and truing up the others. So, so the 141 is the large, there's a lot there. So all those grants, I load those fully and adjust revenue because if we spend those, that money, we get reimbursed. So the grants are budget neutral. It's just all those expenses were not already loaded in there, and we have to load them in there by end of the year. Because when we have salaries paid out of the grant line, we have to have that budget in there. But the column that's like that one, it says a bracket 797,000. Anytime you see a bracket, that's reducing. And then when you see a number without a bracket, we're adding. So I'm going to be very cautious on the salary line items and make sure we have enough in there because we get findings. So just because I'm putting a bunch in a salary line doesn't mean we're going to spend all of it. I'm just making sure we don't, because it's still a moving target. This does not affect next year's budget, by the way. This is just simply balancing lines. Most of those ads are grants, but there are quite a bit in there as just balancing lines as well. So, like that 797,000 I'm deducting out of the teacher's salary line because we won't need that in the teacher's salary line. I'm projecting by the end of the year, so that I'm able to disperse those funds elsewhere to just balance grants.
I make a motion that we approve the official year 25 budget amendments as presented.
And dietary is part of that.
General and dietary.
Yeah.
As presented.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion? Can we vote, Jim? Coaching stipends and pay scales for FY 26.
I don't see any loaded.
I thought that was in budget workshop time. That must not have carried it forward.
It was at the workshop, yeah. It's just not loaded here.
I bet it did carry forward down there.
Well, they include all of the increases that we discussed. If we have to make adjustments, that would be pending approval. But anything you would approve for the FY 26 scales and stipends would be pending approval of the FY 26 budget.
So we can't vote on that yet, right?
You can if you choose to say pending, the FY 26, or we could move these to the July 1 board meeting, if you prefer to do that.
I think I prefer to move this to July. Does anybody object to that?
Okay.
We're gonna move that to July.
Certainly hope we can do it. It's certainly something that's on
On our our change sheet, it was 90,000, I think we've got on our budget change sheet was the impact of new coaching.
Right, yeah, the total impact was 90,000.
The school year 2025-26 meal plans, those are the prices that we will be adjusting to. It's an increase. Is there a recommendation for those prices?
Recommend that we approve the recommended prices for the 2025-26 meal prices for that school year.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
If I may reiterate, these reflect the students that would not be under the free and reduced breakfast and lunch program. So these are the ones that would be paying for lunch at the price that's listed.
And we don't get reimbursed at these prices.
No, the prices are set based on the reimbursement rate to cover the cost.
Okay.
There will be letters sent out saying that there will be a cost to lunch.
Yeah, we will have to, again, at this point, until the budget's approved, but we definitely will notify our families prior to the school start. Earlier in July, the better. Start that communication line, and then reinforcing and repeating when we get closer to the start of school, and then when the start of school year starts. Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Walters.
I will just say, I'm not speaking for the board, I'm speaking for myself. I hate we can't continue to pay for everybody, I really do. And I think everybody is the same, but it's just not feasible. And it continues to grow and grow and grow. We're already facing a gap, and we're having a hard time, trying to make ends meet at this point. So I just wanted to say that I wish we could do it, but it's just not, we can't.
Just one last reminder in this process, everyone that, every family that meets the requirements to receive free or reduced lunch, we'll work hard to ensure they have the application and hopefully complete the application. We will have 3 eligible CEP schools which would provide free breakfast and lunch to all students that meet the threshold for qualification, and that is Westview, South Central, and Lamar.
Thank you. Any more discussion? Yes.
Would you like me to upload the coaching sheets if we approve the new rates, or leave that off?
I think pushing it to July 1 is acceptable and probably the best decision.
We vote. There's some additional overnight trip requests that were not in the consent agenda. If anybody would like to make a motion to approve those, we can group them all into one.
I make a motion, we group them all into one.
With approving them.
What?
And approving them.
And approving them, yeah. It's under 10 or 11.
9.
Gotta get my Roman numerals.
Second.
There's 4 Daniel Boone. Wait a second. Any discussion? We vote, Jennifer.
All agreed.
Thank you. Last item.
Last item is the board meeting dates. Has everybody got the opportunity to look over those?
We tried to stay as consistent as possible with the first Thursday of the month for regular board meetings. And then, you know, a week prior to the board meeting, or a week and 2 days prior, usually on a Tuesday. But some of the dates in the calendar didn't work out perfectly, so we have proposed some dates that don't necessarily align to that first Thursday and last Tuesday of the month sequence. For July, most recently, because of the budget meeting on June 18th, we're proposing that the workshop and possibly a special call, if necessary, meeting to focus on the FY26 budget would be that workshop date, June 19th. And then the meeting for July would be July 1st on a Tuesday. The rest seem to follow the first Thursday and the last Tuesday of the month, as you can see. The exception, well, the August meeting is not necessarily that either. In March as well. And then no workshop as has been the case in January because of December holiday.
Mr. Walters.
I make a motion, we approve the official year 26 meeting calendar for the board as presented.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to ask the staff, once approved, y'all would print at least one copy. Now, if you want to print 9, go ahead, but I'd like to have one stick in my pocket so I can go off and stick it on my home calendar.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, no discussion. Jennifer, can we vote, please?
Just a question, or I guess a reminder, any projected date for the workshop, talk about real properties?
I mean, I would leave that up to the board. I'm trying to set a meeting up with Mr. Rosenoff. I believe it's gonna happen Monday. From there, I can update the board, and if the board wants to identify a date, we would try to organize the surveyor and anyone else that we need to.
It seemed like we came out of
I would recommend if we do a special date, it can just be that's what we focus on, so we can just spend time on that.
that very wholehearted.
Anything else?
Don't move, I'm not yet.
Don't move. Okay. That being said, we're gonna adjourn.